not be offended by it. I was offended, I think, the first 2 years by everybody. I had to just get over being offended by it. And then I was like, well, I've already done it. I made 22,000 on one deal. I made 50,000 on the second deal. Clearly women can do it. And I just had to keep focusing on my big picture and not thinking about what all these other people were saying about me.
Hello, Empower Nation. Welcome to Empower Her Money podcast. I'm your host, Angela Duncan. On today's episode, I get to interview Dwan. She is with the Most Dwanderful Real Estate podcast. She's going to talk all about real estate investing, residential, short sales, creative financing, commercial real estate, building out a town, and so much more. Welcome to Empower Her Money podcast. How are you today?
I'm so great. I'm so excited to be on your show.
Yes, I know. I had the great experience of being on your incredible podcast, and now I get to flip the switch a little and ask you a bunch of questions.
That's right.
Yeah. So before we get into all of the areas of expertise that you're going to share with the audience today, let's talk a little bit about your journey and how you kind of got to what you're doing today.
Sure. So, it's funny because I was never planning to be a real estate investor. I got married, I had a baby, I was 30. I was going to be like the homebrew mom, the Girl Scout mom, the cookie mom, And then when my daughter was 8 months old, we went through a really unexpected split up. So now I'm single. I have an 8-month-old child, and she's born in 1988. And in the 80s, I was in my 20s and I partied and worked at nightclubs, and I had no experience to do anything. So I kind of fell into real estate because I was looking for a way to work from home and raise my daughter. That was just all and I didn't really care what I had to do. I was like, as long as it's legal, I don't care. I'll do it. I don't want to use the system. I waited till I was 30. And, back then, like 30 was kind of old to be having your kids. Back in the 80s, like all my friends had their kids when they were like 2021. So I got involved, and I found some guys. Oh, you can buy houses, fix them up, sell them. So my mind is like, oh, I can decorate. I like to decorate. I'm a great decorator. I'll be a decorator. And then as it turns out, rehabbing and decorating are not the same thing at all. And so here I find myself living in this house that needs rehabbed. I don't know what I'm doing. And I'm taking home classes at Home Depot. And I'm rehabbing this house, living in it with my little baby. I made $22,000, and I was like, that's good for me. And I just kept going. Now she's 35. So,
And that's awesome too, because you got to teach her along the way. She got to see what mom was doing.
oh yeah, she went with me everywhere. This child has been knocking on doors with me. She's been to 1,000, like literally 1,000 closings. She would help me as she got a little older, help me work on houses, and now she owns rentals. So it's kind of like all she's ever known.
Yeah. And that's great too, because I do think that's important, right? To be able to teach them a skill from a very young age.
Yeah, I think so too. And I was like, look, she wanted to go to college. She went to the Disney college program, and she did a few things. And I was like, well, live your life, but at the end of the day, you'll come back. And she went to Disney college and worked in hospitality for a while. And she was like, I just don't like working for other people. I'm like I said. So now she's also into real estate.
Yeah, that's great. That's awesome. I'm going to first dive into your books. You're a best-selling author. Let's start with the first book. Kind of what was your inspiration in becoming an author? Why did you do it? And let's talk about that book.
Okay. So my first book is called Short Sale Pre-Foreclosure Investing. It's funny. I was just on Amazon, like right before I got on with you. I thought, let me look up all the books that I'm in or that I wrote or that I'm a part of. There was like 10 books in there. Because
Wow.
I've written chapters with people. I've written a couple books for myself. And I was like, wow, I kind of forgot about like how many there are. So the first one was called Short Sale Pre-Foreclosure Investing.
Hmm.
And as a real estate investor, I started doing short sales in like the 90s. And I liked teaching other people because I kept thinking, look, I was a broke single mom. I lost my house in my divorce. I had a foreclosure. My car got repossessed. I had no money. So I thought, and I've been making money. So I thought, well, if I can teach other women, like that's a good thing. And then so I started writing programs. And then I was like, I should write a book because I already have all these training programs. And so Wiley Publishing published my book. It was one of the first books out on short sales
Hmm.
in 2008.
Hmm.
And so I had never written anything like, professional. And it was a good learning curve. They're like, write these chapters, do this, do this, do this. And I got my writing critiqued a lot. I was like, hey, like stop critiquing everything. I'm a good writer, but with a little humbling when you have someone like, making you do everything exactly the right way. And that book did really well. And they asked me to write another one. And that one's called How to Sell Your House When It's Worth Less Than the Mortgage. And that one was for homeowners directed towards homeowners that might be in trouble, losing their house, they're in foreclosure, they don't know what to do. So I wrote it for the homeowners, which I was really
Mhm.
proud about that because everyone writes books for investors, how to make money. But it's like, yeah, but I was that person and I lost my house and nobody helped me. So let me help the homeowners too. And I've actually kind of built a business around, even though I'm an investor, I try to help the homeowners either save their house or get a fresh start. And so I turned that into basically the helping part I turned into the business.
Hmm, that's awesome too. I remember because I've been in real estate since 2007. So I did a lot of short sales and working directly with the homeowners. And that's great that you created a book for them because they really had no clue what their rights were, what they could do. They just felt
No,
helpless, right?
they do. They really do. Even still today, like, like my students, I'm always like, listen, you guys got to help the homeowners. It's got to be about them because you have 1,000 more deals that you can do. This is probably the only time they'll be in foreclosure and they're losing their house and it's everything to them. So you have to help them. And when you help them, then the money will come.
Right. Yeah. I'm
No,
a huge believer in the same thing.
oh,
Servitude comes first.
so I tell my students, I'm like, listen, don't let me ever read about you on the internet or hear you on the news that you rip somebody off because I will personally come to you and kill you. You're working with me, you gotta help first.
Yeah. I think sometimes real estate too can be intimidating for women. So I know you help teach others. So let's kind of focus on your female clientele, your female
Yes.
students. What do you feel like is their biggest objective? And then kind of how do you get over any of like fears that they might have as being a woman in real estate?
So, so I'm 65 now. So I started, 30, like you have to think 30 years ago in like 1990, it was the boys club.
Hmm.
I remember going to my first, they're called REIA, Real Estate Investor Associations. My first REIA meeting, there were about 85 people there, and there was me and one other woman. So my first thought, because I've already been investing for a few years, this REIA opened up. And back then it's in the newspaper. I see in the paper, like, oh, real estate investors, that'll be fun. And then my first thought is I looked around and I thought, do women not do this? Because there
Mm.
were no women there. And then I
Right.
was like, okay, I don't know. So I was confused and I started talking and they're like, oh, do you have a husband? Do you have a boyfriend? And I was like, no, I'm a single mom. And people were like so stunned that I was doing it and I was doing it by myself. And then I actually met a woman there, Sharon, and then we became partners. And
Mm.
then because we were women and we were partners and we were in real estate, everybody thought we were a couple, lesbian. They thought we were lesbian. Because, why would a woman possibly want to like fix up houses? And I was like, no, we're not that either. And there's nothing wrong with that. But it's like, no, we're just women working in this business. So I found the boys club to be intimidating. It did make me question if I was even in a business like that girls do. And
Hmm.
then I thought, well, women can do anything. I mean, shoot, we give birth, we can do anything, literally. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to focus on helping women and teaching women because it's a really good business. And I feel like women are afraid to get in it because even today, it still feels a little bit like the boys' club.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When I first started dealing with contractors, they'd be like, well, honey, do you have a husband? And I was like, no, you're talking to me.
Yes.
So I had to just not be offended by it. I was offended, I think, the first 2 years by everybody. I had to just get over being offended by it. And then I was like, well, I've already done it. I made 22,000 on one deal. I made 50,000 on the second deal. Clearly women can do it. And I
Mm-hmm.
just had to keep focusing on my big picture and not thinking about what all these other people were saying about me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And being able to build an empire without having that plus one. I think, I get the same from people asking me about the husband or boyfriend. And even though real estate agents can be predominantly female, the
They
investor side, the contractor side is still very male dominated.
It is. And when I met my husband, when I got remarried, so I got remarried to Bill when Ayla was 13. So
Mm.
we've been married over 22 years. So from 0 to 13, I didn't really date very much. I was focused on my daughter and no husband. And when he met me, even Bill was like, "You've built all of this?" And I was like, yes. And the first time he came to visit me, he was in my garage. I have tools like you don't even know. He's like, who do all these tools belong to? Like, they're mine. He goes, you know how to use all these tools? I was like, oh my God, yes, I do know how to use all these tools. And you're right, on the agent side, a lot of it is single women, but a lot of it's someone that's married and the wife wants to make a little extra money and she's going to be a real estate agent. And, but in the investing side, it is still predominantly men. So I just tell the women, like, listen, we have the power. Don't let men intimidate you. We're smarter than them anyway. And you just come to me and I will help you. We're just going to trudge through it. So I have some super, super successful female students. And one, she makes about $5 million a year. To
Hmm.
start off with me, she's got a whole team, and everyone on her team, they're all women. And
Yeah.
it's like, that's what I'm talking about right there.
And it's good to show because even in, we hear the news in this market right now, are we in a recession? Interest rates are high, the market's in trouble, all the media, that stuff that comes out. It's good to know for people listening that any market is good for investing.
That's what I tell everyone. I'm like, listen, the market doesn't make it makes no difference. There's never a bad time to invest. There's never a bad time for anyone to even start a business,
Mhm.
regardless of what it is. If you want to write a cookbook or you want to start anything, regardless, like maybe shouldn't have said cookbook. Maybe that sounds sexist, but like every woman I know has these amazing recipes that grandmas gave them. It's like, you should put that in a cookbook. But if you want to write a book or you want to be an author or you want to be an artist or a real estate investor or any kind of entrepreneur, I always think women are a little bit held back by the mindset of, well, do you have a husband? Are you going to do it by yourself? Because I still think, I mean, I don't know. I still feel like in today's society, people really think like you still need to have like a spouse to do
Mhm.
things and be successful. And I'm like, I don't find that to be true at all.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree too. You've been in the market for a while. We go through cycles, we go through changes. Do you shift your strategy when the market is adjusting? Or what do you think that, going forward, what do you think or expect for the market to do?
Well, we shift strategies some, but like right now we're in Iowa, we're rehabbing like a whole town. So I'm rehabbing buildings all over. I've got so much stuff going on downtown. It's like, oh my God, there's so much happening here. Um, but not really. Like if someone wants to be a landlord, then just always keep buying houses. If the interest rate's too high, buy it now and you can refinance it in a couple of years. Learn to be more creative, get homeowners to deed their house to you and you take over their payments that they already have in place.
Mm-hmm.
If commercial is your thing, like I, there's just, excuse me, there's just always things. So I don't really shift much. I just kind of keep going along. Rentals, commercial buildings, wholesaling, subject to, like we just trudge along doing the same things and people, oh my God, the world's on fire. It's like, Okay, if you want to think that, that's fine. But there's always people in foreclosure. There's always people dying. There's always people going through divorce.
Hmm.
There's always people losing jobs. There's always people getting sick. So the reasons that cause the investing side never change.
Hmm.
Now, retail might be different. If someone's a real estate agent, like, oh, the prices, the interest rate, I can't sell houses right now. Maybe, but I'm not an agent. I don't know. I can't even imagine a day in my life schlepping people around to look at houses. I'd be like, listen, I showed you 5 houses, just pick one. Pick
Yeah,
your
and
house, damn it. I don't have
I
all day here.
I
Oh,
agree. I agree. That was tough being a
because,
real estate agent because I'm not an emotional person. I'm very logical and the number side. So the investment piece always made sense for me. And I think, that's a great advantage for women, those because we can kind of shift and do both. We can be a little bit emotional when needed if that suits whatever client we're working with. But in the investment market, being the logical, paying attention to the bottom line, being able to
yeah,
explain that is such a great skill.
it really is. And so on the investing side, the things that cause the distress never change. Like there's never a time when people aren't dying and being born. There's never a time people aren't getting married and getting divorced. And the foreclosures typically happen because divorce is like I think one of the top reasons. You have two
Hmm.
incomes to buy the house. This one leaves, this one can't swing it. House goes in foreclosure. Probate is huge, and just people losing jobs. Like COVID, put so many people out of work, and people still aren't working, and they can't keep their house, and like those things never change. So I'm always like, listen, there's never a bad time to start investing on our end of it because the reasons are the same all the time since the beginning of time.
Right. So if you have a new student that comes to you, maybe she just went through a divorce and she has no idea where to start. What do you recommend for someone being brand new in real estate?
If they're really like fresh meat, like really fresh off the vine, I say, listen, the easiest thing that you could do and doesn't take any money is find some people in foreclosure, get a house under contract, give a $10 deposit to secure that contract, and wholesale the property. You could
Mm.
hold so you can sell it, get it under contract, sell it to like a rehabber or landlord. I said you can make like $30,000 on one deal. You're the middle, you found the homeowner, you find the rehabber, you're like the middle person, you get paid an assignment fee. I said, make 20 or 30,000, put some money in your account, and then like think. And so I tell people like wholesale for the first year. It's easy if the deal goes south, you've only lost a $10 deposit. You're not rehabbing and putting in 20 or 30 or $40,000. So do something that's like safe, it's easy, like literally everybody can do it. And get a little money and get a little relief, I guess, off the pressure. I have to make something happen and then see
Mm.
what you like. Because, as you know, there's a million things to do in the investing side. And people are
Yep.
like, oh, I want to buy a triplex as my first thing ever. Do you have credit? Not really. Do you have money? Not really. It's like, okay, how are we going to make that happen? So I'm more about, especially new, get some money in the bank. Let's wholesale, get a little money in the bank, and then see what you want to do, and then pay for education. Because learning the way I learn by the seat of my pants is long, long journey. There was nobody teaching back then.
Yep. Understand. So what's next for you? Do you feel like you're going to continue to do what you're doing, or is there anything new that is on the horizon for you?
Well, we're working on our little town here, so we probably have 2 more years before all the buildings are completely done and rented and really amazing. So I don't know. I told Bill, I said after this, I said I wouldn't mind like finding another small town and just buying a bunch of it up and doing it again because this is like the most fun I've ever had. We have 28 buildings and we're doing like tonight is music on the avenue. They block off all the streets, they have live music. I'm like, a couple weeks ago, 1,700 people came down.
Hmm.
It's like this is a small town. It's like 1,700 people are like here on our street. Like we own half of this block, and they're all right here listening to music and shopping in the stores. And so we're changing the property values, bringing in jobs for people, and encouraging other investors to buy and open restaurants. And I'm like, this is kind of a fun thing to do, like helping not just the single people, but like the economy around here.
Right.
I don't know. I'm thinking that I would probably want to do this again. This is super fun.
Yeah, because you're building out a community too, and you get to watch that come to fruition.
Since we bought our first building till today, the property values have gone up 40% already.
Wow.
40%. And I'm like, yes. Thank
Yeah.
you, Lord. That's us. So it's nice because you can literally see, you can see. I can see all the buildings and all the businesses, and like 3 or 4 new restaurants have come in town, and boutiques and bakeries, and you see all the people shopping. You're like, hey, I was part of starting all this. So it's kind of fun to be part of like a bigger thing.
Yeah, awesome. So I have a fun question for you off topic. I like to ask my guests.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
if you could choose a superpower, what would it be and why?
I don't know. My superpower is probably weird. I would choose invisibility. Because then I would like I would be that person that would be in all the meetings of the government and the president, and I'd be listening to everybody and what's going on. I would be I don't know if that's a good superpower. I would choose invisibility. I would be
Yeah.
listening to everything, going, "Oh my Lord, we've got to tell people what's happening."
Yeah, I love that. I would probably pick something similar, but I'd have fun with it. Just I don't know, you're walking by someone and you just happen to touch their shoulder or something and just watch the reaction. Like I would have a lot of fun
And then
having
they'd be
this
like,
power.
what was that? Or like, if you just visited with some friends, you just be invisible for a minute, like, see, oh, I hear you guys talking shit about me. Is that how it goes?
Oh, I love that.
I would
All
have
right.
fun with it for sure.
Yes. All right, Dwan, if our audience wants to get in touch with you, learn more about what you're doing, perhaps invest with you, what is the best way for them to contact you?
So easy. I took my name Dwan and Wonderful and made a new word, Dwanderful. So they can go to dwanderful.com. It's DWANDERFUL, dwanderful.com. Opt in. I have some free ebooks, some free things, and just, get to know me. And of course, listen to my podcasts.
Yes. Awesome. Thank you so much for your time today. I truly appreciate your inspiration.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Thank you for listening to Empower Her Money podcast. I am grateful for you. Please make sure to leave us a 5-star review, like this podcast, share it, subscribe, and let's keep teaching others how to take control and be empowered with their finances.